Okay, so you guys really liked the last video I made, so let's do it again.
Let's do it again! Okay!
So Bad Batch is finally ending this year with its third season, and I have to say I'm really disappointed it's ending so soon. The show sincerely has some of the best world building out of any Star Wars story, and not only answers so many questions lifelong Star Wars fans had, but tells so many interesting stories with its characters. I sincerely believe the show could have gotten at least 2 more seasons out if they kept the momentum up and trimmed the fat here and there. Although part of me does see why the show ended so soon, and it's probably to do with the fact that the characters the show chooses to follow aren't super complex. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Omega and Crosshair, and they shine as some of my favorite characters in Star Wars, but that's 2 of the 6 leads. The rest of the characters range from good if simplistic, like Tech and Wrecker, or completely wasted potential like Cody or AZ3. The character we're talking about today obviously falls in that latter camp, and that character is obviously Echo. I was gonna say Admiral Rampart to be funny, but I already opened my last video with that exact same joke. Now, I'm not one of those people who hates Echo and thinks he's boring, but I find his inclusion to be frustrating. I don't want to say he's underused, because he does get a lot of screen time, but he never adds a lot to the episodes he's in. The only time I can remember him adding something substantial to the story outside of some one-off jokes is the 2-part Season 2 premiere. Their story of feeling like they should be doing more outside of being mercenaries is really emotional, and I can see why he would want to team up with Rex. But that's 1 episode out of 32. It's weird how he's the 5th main character, but the show can't give him anything to work with. I can't even think of any substantial traits that he has. You know how Sid has those dumb nicknames for each of the clones where she just boils down their main trait? She doesn't give Echo one until Season 2, and his is Killjoy. And I have no clue how she gathered that as his personality, because he's never exhibited being a Killjoy at all before this. I thought for sure what they were gonna do with Echo was have him form a relationship with AZ in Season 2, since the little guy joined up with them at the end of Season 1, and both of them were best friends with Fives during the Clone Wars. I thought one of them would have brought Fives up in passing, and the other would have realized that they knew Fives before he died, and then they would have bonded over it. It would have been a great chance for Echo to have closure on Fives dying, since he never even brings up Fives' death after Rex rescues him. You'd think the first thing you do after being liberated from a POW camp would be asking about where your inseparable BFF is, because as far as we know, Rex just told Echo that Fives died off-screen, which is honestly lunacy.
Fives tried to warn me about the chips, but I didn't understand at the time. It's still hard to believe now.
Bro, he just mentioned your friend. Ask what happened to him. Now, I'm not saying I can write better, because I frankly can't. I'm not a writer. But I can see blatant opportunities for Echo to interact with people and have some form of the spotlight for once, but it feels like the writers are actively trying to not give him anything to work with. What was the point of AZ surviving the end of Season 1 if he wasn't even going to be used at all? What was the point of Echo surviving and being part of the Bad Batch if he wasn't even going to be used? I legitimately think the best way for Echo to be utilized in Bad Batch is if he simply didn't join them at the end of the Clone Wars. If he was just taken out and the show was just about Hunter, Wrecker, Tech, and Omega, I don't think much would change. Echo has an ending that could have worked incredibly well, and it should have been in the Siege of Mandalore. If Echo didn't join the Bad Batch in Season 7 of the Clone Wars and simply stayed with Rex, he would have been in the series finale at the Siege of Mandalore. I think just like in Bad Batch, his chip not working would have been a good story beat, and since he's seeing all of his brothers go crazy and trying to kill Ahsoka, maybe he would want to help her and both of them would see what Fives discovered in Season 6. Him actively completing Fives' mission of the inhibitor chips and saving Rex would have been a great way to give him closure on Fives. Imagine how impactful it would have been if he was there when Rex said this.
Find him. Find him. Fives. Find him!
I don't think he would have survived the final battle, but if he did, the story could have accommodated him by pairing him with Rex after they go off and part ways with Ahsoka. That means even in my theoretical rewrite, Echo would still survive into the Bad Batch era, but here he wouldn't be a mainstay, rather a supporting secondary character to show up every now and again. This would still make for an interesting dynamic. Echo's only interaction with the Batch before this would be their one mission on an Axis, so they'd be familiar with one another, but Echo is still a relative outsider. Also, I'd obviously try and give him some time to be with AZ in Season 2. If the show wasn't going to use that character at all, maybe have the Bad Batch drop him off with Rex and Echo, and the two can share a nice moment in the Coruscant 2-parter. Again, I'm not a writer, but I like doing these little rewrite exercises because I like to see if a story could have gone differently. I don't think my ideas are the greatest, but I just want what's best for Echo. When the character does have a chance to have the spotlight, he's a lot of fun, and I just wish his character was handled differently. As for the future of the character, I'm kind of hoping he doesn't die in Season 3, and we can give his character the opportunity to develop a bit more in some future projects, and maybe give him that oh-so-fulfilling chance to talk with AZ about Fives. But let's be real, most of these characters are probably going to die, and we're all going to cry. But I'm hoping out hope that Echo will have a chance in Season 3 to not only have an impact on the story, but maybe develop more of a personality. Then again, that one Echo joke was peak comedy, and I can't get over how funny it is.
Is there an Echo in here?
Yes,
What?
I'm Echo.
Dude, those animals are so fucking funny, they make me want to merge without looking! Yeah, Rumsfeld!